there's one thing everybody needs, it's a great pancake recipe. And I swear to you, these are the best pancakes you'll ever make, and the only recipe you'll ever need for the rest of your life. I put this recipe and a couple of photos of pancakes up on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and the number of images and responses that I got to that, dozens and dozens and dozens over the course of the next couple of weekends. So I thought I better make a video for it, because I swear these are the best pancakes you'll ever make. This is essentially a fluffy pancake recipe, sort of like an American hot cake or a Japanese pancake, that kind of a thing, not a thin English pancake. So if you're looking for a fluffy pancake recipe, this is the one that I use all the time. I should warn you, the ingredients and the quantities will be slightly different if you're following this video in the US, because of the imperial measurements and also the types of ingredients you can get. So if you are following this recipe in the US or somewhere where you can't get self-raising flour, or your cup measurements are slightly different, do go to the description down below for the full recipe and the conversions as well. So these are the ingredients that we've got. I've got some self-raising flour, and if you don't know what self-raising flour is, it's kind of a mixture of ordinary all-purpose or plain flour with a bit of baking powder put in there as well. I'm using baking powder too, and I'll explain that when I get to that point. 3 eggs, some milk, a bit of sugar, that's all you need. So let's start with the flour first. And then a couple of teaspoons of baking powder. Now somebody asked me, why am I using baking powder and self-raising flour together if baking powder is already in self-raising flour? And it's as simple as, I want a little bit more rise to it. And baking powder, of course, has that acid as well, the cream of tartar or citric acid mixed in there. So this is like using buttermilk. Buttermilk is kind of acidulated milk. So we're just adding a little bit more acid into this mix, which will help stabilize and give us more rise. So we don't need to use buttermilk. A good fluffy pancake essentially needs 3 things. It needs to be quite thick, the batter, so it doesn't spread too much when you put it into your pan. Number 2, it needs to have a leavening agent, something to give it rise. We're using our baking powder. You could also use baking soda or yeast, but I like the baking powder because it adds that extra acidity, which gives you a little bit more structure. So I just sift both of those together. I'll add my sugar in now, about a 1/4 cup of sugar. And you could leave the sugar out, it's not all that important, but I think pancakes have a bit of sweetness to them in and of itself, rather than just the syrup that goes on the top, is always a good idea. And then I need about 3.5 cups of milk. My eggs too. Then I make a well in the center of the dry ingredients and pour the wet ones inside. So you might notice I'm using a spatula or a Maurice instead of this whisk here. You could use a whisk, but because it's quite a thick batter, you'll find it gets clogged up inside of the holes of the whisk. So I prefer the Maurice, and of course I'm gonna pass it through a sieve later on. So you notice I said that a good fluffy pancake batter needs to have 3 qualities. It needs to be thick, it needs to have a rising agent, but it also needs to be a relatively soft or weak batter. And what I mean by that is you can't develop too much gluten. Now, gluten's a really interesting protein. It exists in wheat flour, but you can also develop it by doing things to that flour, things like beating it or heating it up. And that's what gives you the strength of something like bread or a really stiff pizza dough. But for a pancake, you want your batter to be fluffy so that it rises a lot and has that lovely cakey texture to it. That's one of the reasons why I'm not whisking it, because I don't want to overwork this dough. You might see some pancake recipes saying a few lumps in the batter is fine, and it is absolutely fine. And the reason they're saying that is because if you really work the batter to get all the lumps out, you're going to overwork the gluten and develop too much gluten in the flour, and it makes your pancakes quite rubbery, a bit tough, and it'll also stop them having that nice rise. Now that's all well and good, but if you've got too many lumps in your batter, you might find little pieces of uncooked flour in your pancakes, which is not pleasant at all. The way to resolve all of that, while also not overworking your batter, is to pass it through a sieve. So I'll get the rest of my milk into this mixture, pass it through a sieve to get rid of all of the lumps, and my batter will be beautiful and smooth, but it'll also be nice and soft for lovely fluffy pancakes. So now we're ready to have pancakes, right? Well, actually not quite, because if there's one piece of advice that I really, really want to give you when it comes to making pancakes, it's don't make the batter as soon as you're ready to eat pancakes. Make it the night before, because right now, my kitchen looks like this. That's no way to start eating pancakes. So put this batter in the fridge, ready for your pancakes tomorrow morning. Now, that's not just about having a clean kitchen, although that certainly does help. What it does is it allows that gluten to relax. So I've just worked the batter in the bowl, through the sieve, all that kind of thing. And so it's given me a batter that's a little bit stiffer, a little bit stronger than I would like. Allowing that to rest and relax in the fridge overnight will give me much fluffier, much more delicious pancakes. Of course, I have made a batter earlier, so I'll pull that out of the fridge, get this cleaned up, and we'll be ready to cook. So you're probably wondering why I've called this a Japanese pancake recipe rather than an American pancake recipe when the ingredients are exactly the same for one batter to the other. Well, it's got to do with a slight different process in the way of cooking it. The idea for a Japanese pancake is you want perfect even color all across the entire width of the pancake, and this is how you do it. I'm using a non-stick hot plate here, and that's really good to get that perfect even color. I want to keep this on a relatively low to medium heat so I don't cook it too quickly because they are very thick pancakes. Now here's the key, here's the most important part. I'm not using any oil or butter on this at all. It might seem a little bit scary, but that's how you can get the perfect even color. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. We use oil in a pan to give it a more even connection between the thing that we're cooking and the heat of the metal. But if we're cooking a batter, we don't need a more even connection because the batter is soft and it doesn't have changes in texture through it, so it's going to be even on the pan anyway. Now, of course, it will be a little bit more dry because you're not using oil in the pan, but Japanese pancakes are always served with butter, so you get the exact same result at the end of the day. I always use a ladle when I'm putting my pancake batter into the pan because it means that every pancake is the same size. If I just pour by hand and eyeball it, it'll be slightly different, but one ladle, one size. Let's see how lovely and thick this pancake batter is. Now look at that, have you ever seen a more perfect pancake? Because they are so thick and fluffy, they do take a bit of time to cook. And the way I test to see if they're done is I actually just wiggle the top of the pancake with my fingers. And when they're raw, you can feel the kind of soft and rawness in the center. And as they cook and become fluffy on the inside, they become a bit more firm. And all I need to do is serve that with a bit of butter, maple syrup and some whipped cream, and you've got yourself a perfect pancake breakfast.